Trevor Milton isn't the first person that springs to mind when you think of the motoring industry, and you wouldn't be alone. Up until July 2020, Trevor Milton was an obscure figure with little to his name beyond a string of failed or semi-failed businesses. Consequently, nobody expected his sudden and meteoric rise, and that too in an industry plagued by crises. Nevertheless, Trevor's fortunes took a turn for the skies when he entered the market with his hydrogen-powered truck maker Nikola Motors. As of today, Nikola Motors claims to be the first company to offer hydrogen-powered vehicles to the market, and although Nikola hasn't sold a single vehicle yet, it is actively partnered up with existing companies with the aim of jump-starting the production of its vehicles by 2022. So before we look further into the future of this company, let's take a little glimpse into the supposedly visionary man behind its rise, Trevor Milton. Born in 1981 in Utah, Milton discovered a childhood fascination with vehicles. Claiming his inability to learn well through studying books, Trevor dropped out of high school and later dropped out of university too. Then, during a missionary trip to Sao Paulo, Trevor claimed to have found his calling to care about others and to build people up, not tear them down. Having left university to pursue his entrepreneurial ambitions, Milton established an alarm sales company. He later sold his alarms company to start an online ads website for used cars, which later failed and was duly thrown into the dustbin of flopped business ventures. Not having enjoyed much success with these two ventures, Milton made a jump into motoring and created his first electric vehicles company, D-Hybrid. Although D-Hybrid failed to take off, it was purchased by Worthington Motor in 2014, freeing Milton to embark on another venture. A year later, he did exactly that and founded Nikola Motors. As we shall explore in this video, this hydrogen-powered vehicle startup seems to have thrust him much further than his previous endeavors. By September 2019, he was reported to have become a billionaire by Forbes magazine. Catalyzed by a European manufacturer's investment, CHN Industrial pitched in $250 million in seed funding, which dramatically raised the valuations of his company. Hardly a year later, at the age of 38, Milton became the youngest newcomer of the Forbes 400 list with a net worth of $5.5 billion. Empowered by his new fortune, Milton purchased a 2,000-acre ranch in Utah, packaged a 9-bedroom home overlooking its very own river. Then, and testament to his Mormon upbringing, Milton announced on Twitter that he's allocating 1 million of his personal shares to his 350 employees. So, that's the man for you in a nutshell. Pivoting back to the company itself, Nikola Motors is a fledgling but rising vehicle company that claims to offer a new breed of zero-emission pickup trucks, initiating in 2015 with a wish to remove fossil fuels from the trucking sector. Nikola Motors centered itself on the use of hydrogen as a fuel source instead. In its range of truck prototypes, therefore, Nikola Motors has conjured a fuel source that combines both hydrogen fuel cells and batteries in order to boost efficiency and dual-use capabilities. This creates a dual-fuel vehicle that can be powered by both the combustion of hydrogen and a battery that derives its power from the excess energy produced from the combustion of the former. In simpler terms, hydrogen burns to spin the wheels, but also to spin a generator and create its own electrical energy to store in a battery for later use. Back when Nikola first arose, however, hydrogen's use as a fuel source was controversial, and it still remains a little unnerving for many today. Producing, storing, and distributing hydrogen isn't a simple task. It is mired with safety issues and inefficiencies that threaten its viability as a fuel source. Tesla's juggernaut Elon Musk was amongst the first ones to rubbish the proposition, claiming that it was inefficient and expensive. Nevertheless, Trevor refused to hold back and stood firm with his conviction that the future will comprise of hydrogen-powered vehicles. Lo and behold, after 5 years of tireless pitching, motoring giant General Motors joined hands with Nikola and pledged to begin production of its trucks by 2022. Resultantly, the moment Nikola Motors entered the stock market with its initial public offering, its share price skyrocketed. At one moment, its highest valuation reached $26 billion. Before anyone could make sense of what happened, Nikola Motors stole the spotlight and propelled a new player into the limelight, serial entrepreneur Trevor Milton. But how did they rise so speedily, you may ask? Nikola's alliance creation has been vital in bringing Nikola Motors to the fore and lending it a badge of credibility amongst the wider industry. Nikola Motors succeeded in joining hands with companies like General Motors, with General Motors being awarded an 11% stake in the business and a right to appoint one director. This partnership became a defining moment in Nikola's growth story. Moving on to the vehicles themselves, Nikola has unveiled a range of semi-trucks, sleeper trucks, reloading trucks, and its polished pickup truck. Its pickup truck, known as the Nikola Badger, claims to be the first pickup truck that combines hydrogen and battery power as its fuel source. It was apparently built to compete with the likes of Ford F-150 with a total range of over 600 miles. Explaining why Nikola Motors is specializing within the truck's realm, Milton talks of how hydrogen can noticeably reduce the weight of the truck and radically extend its range vis-a-vis Tesla's battery-powered pickup trucks. And when asked on how truck drivers would refuel their hydrogen-powered vehicles, Milton claimed that Nikola is in the process of building 700 hydrogen stations in the United States. Pretty ambitious. However, as lofty as it sounds, many more plot twists are yet to come that could dramatically alter Nikola Motors' fortunes. It's vital to understand that Nikola Motors is new to the game. It does not possess any physical stock and is yet to deliver a single vehicle. This is in spite of its market valuation having exceeded $20 billion at its peak, and not even 48 hours after it announced its $2 billion deal with General Motors, a report from short seller Hindenburg Research appeared on the scene, which threw a spanner in the works. The report claimed that Nikola Motors was an intricate fraud built by threading together dozens of lies. In a report, Hindenburg accused Nikola of faking product demonstrations and wrongfully claiming ownership of technologies that belonged to other companies. Also in the report, its orders from the likes of Bosch, it so gleefully fluttered, turned out to be non-binding commitments. What's more, they allege that General Motors entered an agreement with Nikola Motors having been pressured by what they call the Tesla rally and by their foolish drive to keep up with Elon Musk. In other words, the excitement that propelled Nikola Motors to its summit had been exposed as nothing more than a farce. Its prime accomplishment began to crumble and fall apart even more dramatically than it had first arisen. And as Nikola Motors holds no physical stock, relying instead on a future promise of building trucks, these accusations hit Nikola's stock prices hard. Much to their chagrin, Nikola Motors itself was forced to admit to one of the allegations that its product demonstration was in fact the truck rolling downhill and not driving downhill, as was misleadingly shown in the demonstration video. What followed was an outbreak of accusations from all corners of the internet, with many claiming that Trevor Milton was Wall Street's biggest conman, amongst many more. This led to an investigation from the US Department of Justice and the Security and Exchanges Commission, SEC. Former hedge fund manager Whitney Tilson predicted that Trevor could end up behind bars for securities fraud. Nonetheless, Trevor continued to furiously deny those allegations and shot back by saying on video that when you're changing the world, these people love to take you down. Releasing a rebuttal online, Nikola Motors slammed the allegations as false and misleading and welcomed the investigation from the SEC to clear the books of any allegations. Nikola Motors, alongside its founder, are clearly in the firing line. But Trevor remains resolute and unshaken, powered by a deep sense of self-belief in his venture. But what of its newborn partnership with GM? Upon questioning by the Financial Times, GM have stated that they stand by the statements made when the relationship was first announced. Furthermore, Nikola is threatening to take legal action against Hindenburg Research, claiming that Hindenburg opportunistically released its report at a time when Nikola's stock price was rising. It claims that Hindenburg aimed to mislead investors and manipulate the market to financially benefit from the fall in its stock price. Given that Hindenburg Research is a short seller, this isn't untrue and is typical of anyone in the short-selling business. However, prior to an investigation by the SEC, nobody can tell what the future holds for this hot rod of a company. Whilst it's undeniable that Nikola Motors has no physical stock behind a couple of prototypes and may have promised more than it can deliver, its founder remains committed to proving these allegations wrong. To add to the uncertainty, Hindenburg Research is doubling down on its claims too. As a result, the tit-for-tat only continues, with little clue as to who shall emerge victorious. Upon reflection, however, it isn't unfair to claim that Trevor overpromised on his offerings. Nikola's share price boom was largely driven by a hype that has yet to materialize. On stage, Trevor has always exhibited an excited, enthusiastic and exuberant tone, almost reminiscent of announcing a spellbinding revolution, but leaving the audience with a glaring anticlimax once the party is over. In a sober attempt to make amends, Trevor once confessed in an interview with CNBC, "I'm a little bit of an outspoken type of chairman." But whilst bragging your assets can lead to momentary spikes in the stock market, the real world quickly catches ahead and does not dance to the tune of overblown promises. However, having said that, it's important to emphasize that this observation stands independently of whether Trevor Milton is a conman or not. It relies solely on the fact that Nikola Motors cannot boast any more assets than a non-binding order and 2 prototypes whose functionality is yet to be categorically proven. As of today, analysts are still debating how much to trust Trevor and to what extent the findings of the Hindenburg Research report are accurate. But without any formal investigation, the debate rests on nothing more than mere speculation and the exaggerations of Nikola's hot-headed founder. Moving forwards, Nikola Motors' fate, and by extension its founder's fate, rests on whether Trevor Milton is exposed as a willful deceiver or simply a little too enthusiastic about his creation. Ultimately, his overpromising is likely to have arisen from at least one of these factors. Which one that is depends on the results of the investigations being held by the SEC and the Ministry of Justice. Meanwhile, Nikola's stock prices remain undulating and volatile, having already taken a battering, with even Milton himself predicting a fun ride in the days ahead. Until then, let's hope Nikola Motors trucks have some sturdy seatbelts. So, would you rather own a Tesla Cybertruck or a Nikola Badger? And do you think that Nikola will one day be larger than Tesla, General Motors or Ford? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed this, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing. Thank you all for watching. I will see you soon, continuing to share great business stories, past and present, and whatever else happens in the business world. So thank you all, and have an excellent rest of your day.